In this video, we'll find the LCD, or least common denominator, of two fractions. So here we want to find the least common denominator between this and this right here, these two fractions. And if it needs to be factored, then we of course will do that. So we can factor these two denominators here. So rewriting this first fraction, the numerator doesn't matter, but our denominator, it's a quadratic trinomial, and a is 1, so we need two numbers that multiply to -10 that add to -3. So this will factor as x minus 5 and x plus 2. And then our second one, the denominator here is a difference of squares. X squared minus 36 will factor into x plus 6 and x minus 6. Now we can see that we actually have four different or distinct factors in our two denominators, 1, 2, 3, 4 distinct factors. And so our LCD has to contain each factor once. So our least common denominator is pretty long here. It's going to be all four factors, x minus 5, x plus 2, x plus 6, and x minus 6. If any of those were a repeat in either of the two denominators, then we'd only have to write it one time. But this is an interesting example. Let's take a look at another one. Here our denominators are already factored, so finding the LCD is relatively simple. Here's one factor, x minus 3, here's another, x plus 3, and so our LCD just has to be each one of those. So we can write our LCD like this, or since if you were to multiply these two out, we'd have x squared plus 3x minus 3x, so they cancel, and minus 9. That is a difference of squares, so you could also write it as x squared minus 9. Two ways to write that LCD. This last example here, the first fraction, the denominator is already simplified, but in the second one, we can actually factor out the GCF, and in this case, the GCF is 2. We'll be left with x minus 5. And so we actually see that we have three factors, x minus 5, 2, and x minus 5, but only two distinct factors because the x minus 5 repeats, the 2 does not. So the two distinct factors are x minus 5 and 2. And so our LCD, our least common denominator between these two fractions, only needs to contain each one time. So that is how we would write our LCD for those two fractions.